All right, ready to dive deep into love languages. It's kind of fascinating how we each experience love so differently. And you know what? It can make or break our relationship, for real.
Yeah, it's so true. You can have the best intentions, really, but if you're not communicating in a way your partner understands, it's like those efforts just get lost.
Exactly. We're going to unpack some research and real life stories today, exploring the five love languages: words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch.
We're going to see how understanding these languages can unlock a deeper connection with your partner.
Exactly. And sometimes it's those negative experiences that actually teach us the most. They kind of highlight what's missing,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's like a wake-up call. The source material actually tells the story of this guy, Bob, who initially thought his primary love language was physical touch.
Makes sense, right? Especially for a guy.
Yeah, it's a common thought. But the book goes deeper. And we find out that for Bob, it wasn't just about the physical intimacy. He felt most loved when his wife verbally expressed her appreciation for him.
So it was more than just the physical connection. It was about feeling valued, admired. It's a good reminder for all of us what we assume is our love language. Well, it might be masking something deeper.
Right, exactly. The source material points out that for a lot of men, desiring physical intimacy is linked to self-esteem. So yeah, they might crave physical touch, but it's often tied to wanting to feel desired and affirmed.
Interesting. So how do we figure out our own love language if it's not always so obvious? Some people just know, but for others, it's a total mystery.
Well, the source suggests a few ways. One is to think about what hurts you most in a relationship. What does your partner do or not do that really stings? The opposite of that might be your love language.
Oh, that's interesting. So, like, if feeling ignored makes you feel completely unloved, maybe quality time is your thing. Or if constant criticism just crushes you, maybe you need those words of affirmation.
Exactly. It's like your heart's sending you a signal saying, hey, I need this to feel loved and connected.
Makes sense. What are those things we keep asking for in our relationships? The source mentions those too, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Pay attention to those recurring requests. It's often a huge clue. Like our deepest needs are trying to get our attention. We're saying, this is what I need to feel loved.
It's like those requests become a recurring theme song in your relationship. And if your partner isn't catching the tune, things can feel pretty out of sync.
Absolutely. And sometimes those requests are confusing to our partners,
Mm.
especially if they have a totally different love language.
Right. The book gives this example of a woman who kept asking her husband for picnics, walks, just some quality time together. And he was clueless. To him, they were just picnics and walks. He didn't get that for her. It was about feeling connected.
It's amazing how understanding love languages can help us decode those little things and see them as expressions of love.
Totally. Now, the source mentions a third way to figure out your love language, looking at how you express love. But it also points out that can be misleading. We might fall back on those patterns we learned growing up, even if they don't reflect our true needs.
Right. It's not always reliable. Maybe you shower your partner with gifts because that's what your parents did. But what you really crave is deep conversation and quality time.
It's like speaking the love language, but with a really strong accent, right? The message gets across, but something feels off.
Exactly. And for some people, they need to dig a little deeper, especially if their love tank has been empty for a while.
Yeah, it's like your emotional taste buds have gone numb. You forget what it feels like to be truly nourished.
Right. In those cases, the source recommends thinking back to the early days of falling in love. What made you feel connected back then?
It's like rewinding the relationship, going back to those sparks that ignited the whole thing.
Exactly. And it can help us reconnect with what truly matters.
So let's say you've figured out your love language. What's next? How do you use this to actually create a loving, happy relationship?
Well, the source recommends this fun little game they call Tank Check.
Tank check. Okay, tell me more.
It's a simple but powerful way to tune into each other's needs. You and your partner each rate your love tank on a scale from 0 to 10.
Haha, like a check engine light for your relationship.
Exactly. And whoever has the lower score, well, they get to suggest something their partner can do that evening to fill their tank. It's a great way to practice speaking each other's love language and make sure you both feel loved and appreciated.
I bet those requests can be eye-opening sometime.
Oh, definitely. The source tells this story about a husband who was totally confused when his wife asked him to do laundry as a way to fill her love tank.
Haha, he probably thought it was just another chore. But to her, it was a symbol of care and support.
It shows how differently we can experience love. That's why this stuff is so important. It's not about what we think is loving, it's about what our partner needs.
Totally. Like we all have these different emotional dialects, and we need to learn to speak each other's language if we really want to connect.
And yes, sometimes that takes effort, stepping out of our comfort zones a bit, but it's so worth it.
Well, we've uncovered some great stuff already.
We have, and there's more to come. Next time, we'll talk about what happens when speaking your partner's love language feels awkward and what to do when those love tanks are running dangerously low. Welcome back. Last time, we talked about the 5 love languages and some ways to figure out your own.
Right. That stuff was pretty insightful. But there are always some challenges, right? What about when speaking your partner's love language feels awkward, like you're forcing it?
Yeah, it's a common struggle. Imagine your partner's all about acts of service, but for you, chores feel like a burden, not a love letter.
It's like you're trying to write a poem in a language you barely understand, right?
Mhm.
You want to express those feelings, but the words just won't come out.
Great analogy. And it highlights the fact that you might have to step outside your comfort zone to really speak your partner's language. But it's worth it. It shows you care.
It's like saying, hey, I'll try, even if it feels weird, because it's important to you.
Exactly. You're not changing who you are, you're just expanding your love vocabulary.
So if my partner needs words of affirmation, but I'm more of a show, don't tell type, I can still try to give those compliments, those verbal expressions of appreciation.
Exactly. Leave a note, compliment their cooking, something small. And the source emphasizes that the more you practice, the more natural it becomes.
Right. Eventually, it'll feel less like a chore and more like a genuine expression of love.
Yep. It's about integrating those expressions into your daily life.
Okay, what about when those love tanks start running low? We've all been there, right? You're emotionally exhausted, and it feels like your partner just isn't getting it.
It's a recipe for disaster. And it can happen to anyone, even in good relationships. Life gets crazy, stress builds up, and we forget to do those little things that keep the relationship strong.
Like forgetting to water a plant, right? Eventually, it just dies. And I think a lot of people don't realize it's happening until it's too late.
That's where knowing about love languages is so helpful. It helps you spot the warning signs and take action to refill each other's tanks before it's too late.
So instead of waiting until you're both completely drained, you recognize the signs early on.
Right. And the source mentions that sometimes those needs change over time. What worked 5 years ago might not work now. It's about staying curious and in tune with your partner.
Like our love languages have different dialects as the relationship evolves.
I love that. It shows how important it is to communicate, to adapt to each other's needs.
Right. Don't assume you know what your partner needs. Ask.
Exactly. Talk about what makes you feel loved and appreciated.
You know, we've been talking a lot about romantic relationships, but doesn't this apply to other areas of life too? It's not just about our partners, right?
Absolutely. Friendships, family, work relationships, understanding love languages can help in all of those.
I'm thinking about my teenager. He's not the best communicator, but if I can figure out how I love language, maybe I can connect with him better.
Totally. Maybe for him, it's not about words. Maybe he needs quality time, even if it's just watching a movie together.
Or maybe it's acts of service, making his favorite meal, things like that. Sometimes those small things mean a lot.
It's about paying attention to those cues, the ways they express their love, and doing the same for them. It builds those bonds.
So we've talked about using these love languages, the good and the bad.
We have. And we left off last time talking about what happens when love languages clash. What if your love language is a foreign language to your partner?
Back for the final part of our love language deep dive. We've talked about figuring them out, how to speak them, even what to do when those love tanks are running on empty.
And last time, we hinted at what happens when love languages clash. What happens when your partner just doesn't get your way of showing love.
Yeah, it's like you're yelling, I love you across a giant canyon, and all you hear back is this tiny echo. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we get our needs across when it feels like we're speaking different languages?
That's where this whole idea gets really interesting. It's not about demanding your partner change who they are. It's about realizing that love can be expressed in a ton of ways, and sometimes those ways are totally different from our own.
So less about forcing them to speak our language and more about understanding their dialect.
Exactly. We need to broaden our idea of what love looks like in a relationship.
Okay, say my love language is acts of service and my partner's is words of affirmation. I'm cleaning the house, doing laundry, thinking I'm shouting my love from the rooftops, but they're waiting for a love letter. How do we meet in the middle?
Well, first, remember you're both expressing love in the ways that feel natural. The trick is translating those expressions into something the other person understands.
So maybe I need to add in some verbal affirmations, even if it feels weird at first. Leave a note. Tell them I appreciate them.
Exactly. Make a conscious effort to speak their language, even if it's not your first language, so to speak.
And my partner, who needs those words, they need to see that my acts of service are expressions of love, even if I'm not saying it out loud.
Right. Learn to appreciate the love that I S there, even if it comes in a different package.
Some people might be thinking, wait a minute, if I'm always trying to speak a love language that doesn't feel natural, doesn't that take the fun out of it?
Good point. We don't want to turn love into some robotic performance. But remember, love is a choice, a commitment. We choose to show up for our partner in ways that matter to them, even if it takes effort.
Like learning a new dance. Right. The steps are awkward at first, but eventually you get in sync and create something beautiful.
Exactly. And remember, even small things can be powerful. A quick text, a shoulder rub after a long day, it's the thought that counts.
We've been talking about romantic relationships, but this applies to everyone,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Family, friends, coworkers, even our pets.
My daughter's a teenager now, and sometimes words just don't cut it. But if I can figure out her love language, maybe we can connect better.
It's worth a shot. Maybe she needs quality time. Just putting your phone down and really being present with her might mean the world.
Or maybe acts of service, making her favorite dinner, those little things.
Exactly. Pay attention to the clues, to how they show their love, and do the same for them.
Well, we've covered a lot in this deep dive, all those secrets to deeper connection.
We have, and hopefully you've learned some new things to try out in your own life.
Before we wrap up, we have a challenge for you. Think about one thing your partner could do tonight to make you feel truly loved. What small gesture would really speak to you?
And then ask for it. Be direct. Be specific. You might be amazed at how much that simple act of communication can change things.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into love languages. Remember, love is a journey. It's about communicating, about growing, about being willing to meet each other's needs.
And yeah, sometimes that journey takes us out of our comfort zone.
Right.
But those uncomfortable moments are often where the deepest connections happen.
Until next time.